Hi, I'm Ben Baker, better known as CB Gitty, and in this video I'm going to be offering you an introduction to the Canjo, basically what it is, why we think they matter and why we think they're pretty cool, and a little bit of how they're put together, and then at the very end, how to play. So the first question that people ask when you talk about a Canjo is basically, what is a Canjo? And it's a good question. We've got a few varieties of them here, from a larger can with a bigger bass string to a smaller can with a higher pitched unwound string. And every Canjo and every can that you use has a little bit different sound. I'd like to start, or at least start off by saying we did not invent the Canjo. This idea has been around a long time, probably as long as metal cans have been. Somebody figuring out that you could make a simple little instrument, call it a hobo instrument, or a poor person instrument, using a cast-off metal soup can or something, a piece of wire for the string, and then a simple neck. They can be built in all sorts of different ways. All of the ones that we've been building here at CB Gitty under the American Canjo Company brand name have diatonic style fretting, which is the same as a dulcimer. It basically means that you leave out the sharps and the flats, which make it a little easier to play, easier to get tunes out of. And we use reclaimed softwood for the neck, reclaimed meaning that it comes from old barns and factories and farmhouses and things like that in the New England, primarily in the New England area. And we've increasingly gotten into using reclaimed cans as well. For example, here's one that is an actual metal oil can that we use as the resonating can on our Canjos, and put out pretty good sound. The idea of the Canjo goes way back. There's been a modern revival of them. Some of the earliest pictures we found have been from the 70s, the 1970s, but the tradition and the idea of using a can, whether it's a fretted neck, unfretted, whether you've got just one string like all of these, or two strings, whether you've got chromatic or standard guitar style fretting, or diatonic dulcimer style fretting, it goes way back. If it's an unfretted neck, then you start kind of crossing the lines into what could be called a diddly bow. A diddly bow being a one-string instrument, usually with no frets and very high action, played with a slide and kind of tapped with a stick. And we'll show a photo of one here in the video. And we'd like to show you some of the different styles of Canjos that we've built under the American Canjo Company brand name. I've got some of them here. The oil can. This is actually a reproduction Harley-Davidson motor oil can that we used for kind of a larger body. Bass Canjo. Old beer cans, whether aluminum or steel flat straight-sided beer cans, work great. Custom cans that we put a custom label on under the American Canjo Company brand name. This one in the back here is actually a tea tin, kind of an oval shaped can. So you can make them out of all sorts of different things, and these are all kind of taller cans. You can also use flat, like a cookie tin or something like that, that could still easily be called a Canjo. Here is an example of using a flatter, more round tin as the resonator of the Canjo. And this style allows you a much wider range of the cans that you use. One more note on the different styles of Canjos that can be built. We have some where the can mounts on top of the neck, like this beer can Canjo here. Then with some of the larger cans, such as this oil can and the Harley Davidson, you can see that the neck is actually suspended in the middle of the can, which is a method we came up with to be able to make use of some of the larger cans, and that works really well. And then with this cookie tin style one here, I call this the cradled method, where the neck actually goes around the bottom of the can and supports it, and then the string goes over the top. And this style works very well with the kind of the smaller, flatter style cookie tins. So I'd like to talk now about why we feel the Canjo is important, or why it's worth bothering with. The way we build them here with the diatonic scale, it makes it a really easy to play instrument, and it's easy to learn. It's a very quick process to get to the point of being able to play your first song on them. So it can be a great introductory instrument, either for an adult who wants to start learning how to make some music, or for a younger person, a child who might be daunted by taking on the standard guitar with 6 strings and all of the frets and everything. The Canjo can be a way to get people kind of introduced to making music in a very easy and simple way. Another good thing about the Canjo is that it is a small, light instrument. It's easy to carry around. Doesn't take up as much room as a full-size guitar or even a banjo or some of the other instruments. So it has a very small footprint, and that makes it attractive to people. Another good thing about the Canjo, especially if you're interested in building one, is that there are so many options. As simple as basically a beer can stapled to a stick with a string going up over it and a little screw up at the top for the nut. Or you can make them as fancy as you want with more than one string. You can get into using bigger cans. There's a lot of options in terms of how they can be built. So it's a very versatile little instrument, and if you get into finding cool cans to use as the resonator, the options are virtually endless. And finally, honestly, they're just plain fun. They don't make a lot of noise, and they're easy to play. They always get a lot of looks if you get to picking one out in public or even on your front porch. They're a fun little instrument. They're easy to build, they're easy to play, and we just love them. So I'd like now to talk for a moment about the American Canjo Company and why we here at CB Gitty, why I decided that it was a good idea to create a brand specific to the Canjos. The purpose of the American Canjo Company is firstly to build awesome Canjos and sell them. But we're also focused on raising the awareness in general of the Canjo as an instrument, both how to play them, how to build them, and just in general trying to let the world know what they are. One of our focuses at the American Canjo Company is to use reclaimed wood for the necks. The older and cooler the story behind the wood, the better. We also have a big focus on using reclaimed antique or vintage tins as the resonators, and trying to keep as much of the character of these reclaimed materials that we're using as possible when we turn it into an instrument. Other projects we are working on include easy-to-assemble Canjo kits, a database of how-to information for building your own, tablature and songs so that you can get started playing your Canjo and playing songs that people recognize, and much more. We want the American Canjo Company to be the best known go-to source for everything Canjo, and we're well on our way.